Okay guys, this is Matt Marzillo. Today we're going to be working on a function in Microsoft Word called Track Changes. It sits in the Review tab up here, and you can see the Track Changes button here. But before we get started, I think it's worth giving you a brief overview on exactly what it is and what it does. It's a great tool when you're collaborating on a document with several other people, usually within your organization. In my experience, it's predominantly been used on agreements or contracts or documents like that, where maybe there's several different people from different departments who are giving input on a final document, right? So you might have a contract, and here we have an example for a venue rental agreement. So this is as if you're helping manage a concert venue or something like that, and a party is going to be renting out your space, and maybe you're the business-minded person. You have somebody in risk management who's kind of more insurance-minded, and you also have an individual who's a lawyer or an attorney, and you're all giving feedback, and you want to track your changes so that you can kind of highlight what you've changed and what you've done, and bounce it off of the other individuals within your organization that are also going to have input. So it's really valuable there, and then once you're all done tracking the changes, you can accept the changes and kind of get a nice, clean, polished document that you've collaborated on with other people. In my academic life, this really wasn't used at all. I understand that with kind of online learning getting more and more popular over the years, Google Docs is a kind of another way that this is used, but professional experience, Microsoft Word Track Changes is typically the way that folks collaborate on creating a document or editing a document. It's also important to note, or worth noting, that in some circles they refer to it as redlining. I know a lot of the legal folks that I've worked with will ask for a redline document, right? So that means that they sent you a document and they want you to make changes, but make sure that you're highlighting all of those changes, so that you're sending back a red line document, so a document in which the changes have been tracked. Just an important tidbit of information if that ever comes up. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Like I said, here we have sort of a general template agreement, which is actually pretty good. It's probably pretty close to what some of you might see in the real world. Nothing too heavy here, just a list of kind of different commitments from one party to another in terms of renting an agreement. So say you've been provided this document and someone said, hey, can you kind of complete this and fill in all the general terms here with real terms, and they ask you, hey, can you send it back with the track changes? I want to review what you're doing and just make sure that we're all on the same page. So what you'll do is you'll go to the Review tab here, and then you'll go to Track Changes. You click on that button, and you're essentially clicking Track Changes, and you're toggling it on, right? So now at this point, everything you're going to be doing is going to be tracked by Microsoft Word. So venue's name, this is just a generic sort of term. We want to put in the real name of the venue, and we're going to call it Matt's Concert Hall, right? And you can see what it does. This is sort of standard for track changes, as that it does a strike through on what I just removed. So I deleted that, and it underlines what I inserted, Matt's Concert Hall. Great. Okay, let's abbreviate that to MCH. Similar look and feel, right? Just striking through what I deleted, and providing the underline for the new the new content that I put in. On the left side, you'll see a bar here, and what this is, it's a quick reference guide for where to look for the track changes. So if you're scanning through a large document, you can easily see which lines contain a change by just kind of keeping an eye on the left margin here. Additionally, something pops up in the right margin when you're making any sort of formatting changes. So this next one talks about, let's see, let's go to article number 2 here, where it talks about the company that we're renting the space out to, what they're responsible for. And you know what? We want to make sure that we emphasize this. So let's make that bold right there. Okay. So you see there's a sort of a markup area on the right side of the document that shows that we made a change in the formatting of the document. And then you also see, again, on the left margin, that little markup bar here, which is just a nice indicator for when you're scrolling down the document. So this is pretty much the way it works with going through actually tracking your changes. So you essentially just have the track changes button on as you're going through and making your changes. Now another nice feature what you can do is up here in the sort of tracking section, you can change the way you're looking at it, right? So generally when you're going through and tracking the changes, you're going to have it set at all markup, or sometimes it's called original showing markup. And that's just showing everything, right? Showing what you've removed, what you've added, and the formatting changes. But if you wanted to, you can always go back and say, no, I want to look at what it was originally. Okay, that's it. That's what it looked like. But the changes are still there in the background, right? We just got to toggle back to that view of the document. Okay, and then you can also look at no markup, which shows the document with your changes. Right, so you can kind of see right there, it says, oh, Matt's Concert Hall. That's what I put in. It leaves in the bolded wording here in Article 2, those sort of things. And then the other view that you have is a simple markup. And that just gives you that left vertical bar there showing you what lines were changed. Generally, I probably wouldn't recommend using this. I would probably stick to using the all markup view. It just kind of gives you a more robust kind of full picture view of what you've done to the document. So that's the track changes feature. In addition to track changes, there's another nice feature. And let's say you're not sure exactly what we're providing. Are we providing seats, light, and sound? We're not sure, and we're sending this back to our manager, and we know that she's going to be taking a look at it and kind of making her recommendation based off of that. So rather than making a change, I want to insert a comment. So I'm simply highlighting the language that I'm commenting on, and then clicking on New Comment right there. So I want to ask a question here. I want to say, are we providing light and sound? And this is a cue to the next person who's going to be picking up the document for them to kind of take a look at that specific section and see if there's any changes that need to be made. So comments are simple as that. You can see it always plops your name down as the author of the person who created that comment. Another nice feature, if you're looking to kind of see, okay, we've been going back and forth 3 or 4 times on this. There's been a couple different hands on this. I want to see who's actually touched it. You can click on Show Markup. You scroll down to specific people, and it shows all the reviewers or all the different people who have touched the document. Right now, it's just me, but if you can imagine in the real world, you're going to have 3 or 4 different people who've actually touched it, and it's going to show a list of people down there. Okay, so now let's say you're the final reviewer here, and you wanna kind of go through the document and start actually accepting some changes or maybe rejecting some changes or things like that. You would then turn track changes off, right? And you can start going through and accepting different changes, right? So you bring your cursor up to the top here. Say, okay, that's right. We want to delete that. We want to accept that as the name. Okay, delete that. MCH. I don't like that. Let's just call it MC Hall, because MCH is a little too general. And then I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. We want to reject that. So we leave it blank and then fill it in with MC Hall. Right, so if you don't want to accept the change, you obviously reject it instead and then dump what you want to place in there. Okay, so we say we're at the we're at the comment part here, and we know that we want seats, light, and sound system. So we're gonna right click there. Pardon me. We're going to right click on the comment, and then we're going to just delete the comment because that looks good. You can see also that there's an option to respond to the comment, right? If you're going back one more time, you can put a reply to comment and sort of kind of start a little conversation here, saying, yes, we are doing lights and sound. In this case, we don't want to do that. Let's just go ahead and delete the comment and kind of get a nice polished, clean version. So we'll go back here, right click, delete comment. Okay, we have a change to the bold. Let's leave that bold. I like that. Let's accept it. Okay, there aren't any comments or track changes, so it looks like we have a clean document. If you're ever in a point where you're not sure whether or not there's any other elements or corrections that are tracked that haven't been cleaned out before you send it to the next party, there's a way you can sort of double check that. You can go up here to the File tab, and in some versions, some earlier versions of Word, you use that little circular logo up there in the top left corner. But here we're going to click on File. You're going to go on Check for Issues. You're going to go Inspect Document. Make sure you have changes, save changes. Okay, yep, that's fine. Yes. And you want to make sure everything but the top one is unclicked. So you're going to have clicked on Comments, Revisions, Versions, and Annotations. Everything else is not clicked. Okay, we're all good there. Inspect. Okay, great. Final check's good. It's saying that there were no items found. We are all good to send this off to the next party for them to agree to it and sign to our agreement here. So, again, this is the track changes functionality in Microsoft Word. Nothing too complicated, but a nice advanced feature that hopefully you find helpful and you find useful in your professional careers. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.